how to make hospitals and nursing homes more humanized, how to create unique experiences in the tourism sector, how to transform new work environments. These are just some of the challenges that I usually face in my projects, and they are always challenges that require innovation, several meetings, and above all, paradigm shifts. If you want to improve your innovation processes and go a step further in your projects and improve the experience of your users, don't miss this video. Also, at the end of the video, I will give you my 5 tricks that I always apply in any of my projects, and I can assure you that they help me achieve unique, impressive results that work. Join me. My name is Albert Severa. I am CEO of Simbiotia, and I specialize in humanizing organizations and creating environments that improve people's lives. What is design thinking? It is a method to create innovation, but focusing on the human being. It is not about being very creative and coming up with happy ideas from our office, but about defining solutions to the real problems that people have. Design thinking is to transform. It is to see beyond the hand of the people who will be affected by this innovation. Companies like Google, Apple, or Nike have been using it for some time now, as it is a great source of innovation. But let's get to the point. Design thinking is divided into 5 very basic but incredibly effective steps. The first step is to empathize with those who will be the real users. Who is this innovation aimed at? Who will be its end user? Once they are identified, you have to understand them very well. When, for example, I work with hospitals, I always base my projects on 3 segments of people who interact: the patient's companions, and the hospital staff. Or when, for example, we transform work environments, I work together with all the staff of the organization, from the management to the intern, and as well as with their clients. Or in the case of a veterinary clinic, where we not only take the opinion of the people as a starting point, rather we have gone a step further and have investigated the impact of the environment on animal welfare, to the point of discovering which colors, which textures, which aromas, and which sounds generate a positive impact on animal welfare. What smells, what sounds, generate a positive impact on both dogs and cats. Remember that in this phase your goal is to fully understand all the negative aspects of everyday life, in this case of the dog or cat. Therefore, the more information and research you can do, the better the results will be. My recommendation here is that you do not be stingy with the time or resources that you dedicate to this period. Because if you do not do well in this phase, the recommendations that you will make later will be limited or even wrong. The second step is to define the needs and problems that users have. For this, we must conduct interviews, workshops, or working groups. Anything that can help us. Many times in the interview itself, the user will tell you what his need is, but on other occasions you will have to dig a little deeper, and through what they describe you will be able to explore the problems they have encountered throughout their experience. Where I met up to 300 hospital workers and almost 100 patients cut here, surveys are very effective, and then analyze them, to be able to understand very well what the problems are. And in this phase, the key is not to interpret, not to take for granted what people want or what they need. We have to ask them and make sure that we understand their needs perfectly, but properly. And at this stage, it is time to draw up a plan and solve the problems that we have previously identified with the users. Just like the first 2 stages are more focused on capturing those user opinions, here the project coordinator takes on a more important role, because it is time to make a quantum leap from the identified problems to the potential solutions. Often the users themselves can help us to identify these solutions, but sometimes they are so focused on what they already know that they are not open to new and much more innovative solutions. This is where creativity comes in to come up with solutions that sometimes they could not imagine for the problem they had. In this phase, the idea is to materialize the solutions by creating a prototype in order to have a small idea of how it will work once we are going to test it in the last phase. This can be a mock-up, a design, or a drawing, a pilot test, whatever it is, so that people can visualize how it will look, and in this way we will be able to visualize how it would look and be able to take out some of the things we've been through the process. The importance of this step is to be able to touch up any aspect that has escaped us, but always validating it with the users. The last phase is the truth test. In this step, users will be able to experience the final result of our proposal. But don't think that this process ends here. Now we should go back to point 1 and check with users whether their problems have been solved and if their needs have been truly satisfied, or it could also be if new needs have arisen. And that is what design thinking is all about. From the user experience, our innovation is born. And here are the 5 tricks that I have promised you that I always apply in my projects, and that if you incorporate them, I can assure you how you will jump to the next level. The first one is the mystery shopping that I call it. I never settle for the more formal sessions like we do in interviews or group sessions. I like to ask users in an informal way in order to open more sincere ways of communication. The second trick is that people don't always want to say the first thing they tell you. Sometimes it is necessary to probe, to ask again, until you really feel that you have reached the bottom of the question, or they may find it difficult to express their experiences. Even if they are very clear about it, it is difficult for them to express it. That's why it's good to reinforce yourself with any tool. I, for example, use these little cards that I showed you with questions or potential situations that help them to be able to express themselves. Because I can assure you in my experience that it is very easy for them to remain blank if you do not facilitate this process. Years ago, I discovered the power of working with multidisciplinary teams. In the projects I do, I include designers, health personnel, researchers, consultants, and I can assure you that each one has a totally different way of seeing reality and of proposing totally different solutions. If you manage to orchestrate these teams well, the results are spectacular and very different. The fourth trick is that you interact with the widest variety of people within the spectrum of users. The more points of view you have, the better you will be able to solve the problem. Meet from health personnel to cleaning staff, kitchen staff, administration, patients, patient associations, patient companions, because each one has a vision that must be taken into account. The last trick is to adopt a very different attitude in each phase. For example, in the early stages of the research, don't just think if this is possible, if it is very difficult, if it is very expensive, if we have time, or if we are capable of doing it. Leave this part of realism for later when you start to make the action plan. Otherwise, what you will be doing is limiting the scope of the project a lot. Design thinking is communicating. It is humanizing. That is why the person must be the center of the whole process. I would love to know in the comments what you think of this design thinking methodology and where you would apply it. Also subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell, because this way you won't miss the videos I'm releasing every week. And most importantly, have a wonderful day. Bye.